Hey everyone, do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to makeup? I know a lot of people do. Well, Charlotte Tilbury has bottled 30 years of artistry into easy to choose, easy to use beauty products, and you cannot go wrong. They are flattering for everyone, everywhere, and that's the reason why she is the queen of glow. Her rigorous standards ensure that every product is designed and formulated for performance like nothing else on the market. Take her iconic Hollywood Flawless Filter. With one product, you can blur, smooth, and illuminate the look of skin. Plus, it's skincare infused for clinically proven hydration for up to 24 hours. From red carpets to influencers' bathrooms, her legendary icons have gone viral for making everyone look and feel like the most beautiful, confident version of themselves. So, Charlotte Tilbury is performance you can trust. It's legendary for a reason. You can use code CTPodcast15, that's CTPodcast15, for 15% off on charlottetilbury.com. Plus, new account holders get free delivery. This ad is brought to you by Charlotte Tilbury USA, customers only, and valid until March 2nd, 2025. For full T&Cs and exclusions, see the Charlotte Tilbury website. She needs to do a podcast since she never got her due. She's a big lesbian and a loudmouth Jew. With a gasket always ready to blow, you're listening to Judy's show. Who? Judy's show. Wait a minute, who are you talking about? Oh, she's an asshole. What is wrong with you? Oh, you suck. So long. Fuck off. Hey everyone, welcome to It's Judy Show with Judy Gold. I'm your host, Judy Gold, and this is the second time I'm recording this opening because I restarted my computer and it fucked up the microphone. So now this is number 2, so I'm even more aggravated than I was when I recorded the first time. But I'm excited because today's podcast, or this week's podcast, is my part 1 of my interview with the incredible Tovah Feldshuh, legend, icon, talent beyond talent. And she's awesome. And I've known her for a really long time. So I know you're going to enjoy that. Oh, I want you to buy tickets before we even continue. I'm doing a live podcast with Stephanie Ruhle on February 24th at 6 p.m. That's a Monday night at 6 p.m. down at the Village Underground, which is part of the Comedy Cellar on West 3rd Street. Get your tickets. It's going to be a live broadcast. We're going to record live at the Village Underground for It's Judy Show with Judy Gold with Stephanie Ruhle. I'm so excited. I love her. Village Underground, 6 p.m. That's a Monday at 6 p.m. Get your asses there. And you can buy tickets, the link in my bio on Instagram, judygold.com, whatever. Or at the Comedy Cellar. And I'm also FYing and eyeing you people. I'm going to be in my first ex-husband off-Broadway show written by Joy Behar. I'm very excited. February 26th to March 23rd with Susan Lucci, Tonya Pinkins, and Kathy Moriarty. I'm so fucking excited. Okay. And then I'm going to be in DC at the Comedy Loft. March 27th, is that right? Yeah, 27, 28, 29. DC Comedy Loft. Then I'm going to Aruba the following week. Then I'm in Boca Raton on April 8, 9. Then it's Passover. Then I'm in Sellersville, Pennsylvania on the 19th. I'm going to Pittsburgh. I'm so excited. April 25th. I got a lot going on. So I'm coming to a place near you. I'm going to be in Boston. I got a lot going on. So, and then of course I'm in Provincetown all summer. So I'm thrilled. Anyway, so that's that. I just want to say, before we get to Tovah, there's so much going on, but seeing those hostages emaciated, looking like Holocaust victims, being released and having the barbaric, disgusting, not inhumane Hamas terrorists laughing at this man when he said he couldn't wait to see his wife and children who were murdered. This is disgusting. How you can support Hamas. It's just fucking disgusting. So that was really upsetting. And now we get word Hamas is not going to release any more hostages. I'm sure that this whole thing will change. I am with Hirsch's parents. Let's peace, end this war, and bring these hostages home. Bring these hostages home. This is fucking ridiculous. It's just awful to negotiate with terrorists. And the way I can't. Okay, so that's really upsetting. There's so much going on. I mean, Trump announcing that he wants to be the head of the Kennedy Center. What the fuck? That is just I don't even know what to say. It's, and so many journalists have retired or moved or quit their jobs. Andrea Mitchell, Jim Acosta, Dan Abrams. There's so many. I'm just so scared for our First Amendment and for this. You think this is not a dictatorship? I can't. It's just okay. So anyway, I could go on and on and on. I'm going to think of something positive. It's getting lighter out later in the day. So that's my positive thought for today. I don't even know what to say. The Super Bowl was a bore and a snooze. But the whole opening of the Super Bowl was like a cultish white. I mean, thank God we had John Batiste and who sang, I loved God Bless America. I just loved, there's culture. There's culture right there. And you're going to have the Kennedy Center. Oh, God, I can't. I need to sign an executive order that I can't. That's it. That's my executive order. I can't. But you have to, Judy. Okay, I can. But I can't. Honestly. So, yeah. A lot of shit going on. I don't even know. Lauren Daigle. Just America the Beautiful. I loved it. I love John Batiste. I love the whole New Orleans jazz style. I loved it. That was all I loved about I'm happy Philly won, but it was just a boring game. And that whole good evening, this whole, it's a fucking football game. It is a fucking football game. And watching him stand there with his hand on, I can't. Okay, so I don't know what else. I just want you to enjoy this. Tovah is just amazing. And I hope you get some inspiration from my conversation with Tovah. So sit back, relax, or if you're on the treadmill or whatever you're doing, please enjoy part 1 of my conversation with the one and only Tovah Feldshuh. Hey everyone, welcome to It's Judy Show with Judy Gold. I'm your host, Judy Gold, and we are with Tovah Feldshuh. Okay, I do my podcast and I try to act, normal, but I have known this woman, this legend, I hate the word legend, this icon for so long, since I was a little baby performer. Okay, so let me just begin. Not only does she live on my block and attend my synagogue, and do we sit together during the high holidays, Tovah Feldshuh, 3 honorary doctorates, has won 4 Drama Desk Awards, 4 Outer Critics Circle Awards, 3 Dramalog Awards, 1 Obie, 1 Lucille Lortel, 1 Theater World Award, 2 Emmys nominated, 4 Tonys nominated,
Won Helen Hayes Award. I always like that they named the Washington Tonys are named Helen Hayes.
I loved Helen Hayes.
I did
My
too.
grandmother loved her.
She came backstage. All these people were alive.
Wait, you met Helen Hayes?
I met Helen Hayes. I met Mary Martin, Rex Harrison. I met everyone. At that time, Martha Graham came to see Yentl. These were people who came to Yentl in 75 and 76. And I met a man with a cane named Reuben Ben Shem Feldshuh, who came from Europe. Why does the bell keep going off?
That is the Jew bell. Anything Jewish, I ring a bell. So it reminds people how much we've contributed to the world. But I'll stop it because this is going to be just bell ringing. Okay, go ahead.
I didn't know. So Reuben Ben Shem Feldshuh came back, very elegant man with a beard. And what I learned later, of course, he survived the war. His daughter did not. His wife did not. But he survived. No, his daughter did not. I think he and his wife did. And he loved the play Yentl. I mean, Barbara did it as a movie for her father. And it was my first break on Broadway, my first marquee. To make a long story short, he became the head of the Jewish remnants, of the Jews that were left after the Holocaust in Israel. They made him the chief rabbi. So I have pictures of him with Abba Eben.
Wow.
So I got a call, Judy, within the last 6 to 8 weeks from the German government. And they said, are you related to Yosima Feldshuh? And I said, I'm not sure. But if it's an F-E-L-D-S-C-H-U-H or an F-E-L-D-S-H-U-H, which is why I don't know why my grandpa took out the original C, it's a blood relation. She is the daughter, the deceased daughter of Reuben Ben Shem Feldshuh. She was a musical prodigy, and she died during the Holocaust right before her deportation of tuberculosis in the Warsaw Ghetto. And they have unearthed and rediscovered her music, and the German government has hired an orchestra, and they are playing her music at the German Consul General's house, the German house, the auditorium, at the UN on Tuesday night, January 28th. Would you narrate it? And
no.
Yes, on a Monday morning, January 27th, we would like you to narrate a shorter version of the concert in front of the General Assembly.
No way.
And I was beside myself. I was just
Of
so I
course.
told the story of 7 people who were murdered or who died. Fortunately, this little genius who died at 13, like Anne Frank, died of disease. She did not make it. They buried her in her nightgown without a casket underneath the earth of the Warsaw Ghetto before she would have been deported to Auschwitz and killed anyway. So it's unbelievable.
And this is that 13-year-old's music.
This is that 13-year-old's music. Now, I've heard it, so she may not be Mozart, she may not be Mozart, but she's pretty good.
Wow.
And it's a concerto, and it's orchestral. So orchestrations were written by her. So it's for several instruments.
That's amazing.
It's absolutely...
That's like Franz Schubert, who was 34 when he died, but had written so much beyond. But you tell that story, and it's like it's such a connection to you that Jews were all connected. And October 7th really showed that we are all intimately involved in that situation.
Right.
But you think about those people, this brilliant girl whose life was, for no reason, was cut short, was ended. What the contribution, Jews have made so many believe, hello, I try to highlight this all the time, but we have made so many contributions to make other people's lives better.
Yes.
And yet you see how much more we could have done.
Well, they say, I don't think it's the Talmud, but it's one of the tractates that says to lose a life is to lose a universe.
Right.
And in Vienna, where my family comes from, matter of fact, they loved it so much that some of them moved back after the war. Tovah Feldshuh lives near the Hundwasser Museum. And in the major square off a major street in Vienna, there's a glass panel, and you look down into the floor of this glass panel in a square like Times Square, and there are porcelain white books, all of which are closed, which symbolize the dead lives, that we lost all this wisdom and all this knowledge. And that's why I love being Jewish. You do not have to be a deist. You don't have to be a deist to be a Jew, but you do have to do the mitzvah. You have to do deeds of loving kindness. It's how we're trained. We are a cult of life, a cult of live while living, and we are up against a cult of death, of people who psychologically are rewarded for killing Jews and meeting 72 virgins. And it's like any death for Hamas or Hezbollah is a good death, any death. And because
it's something
don't get it
that people do not seem to comprehend. And it's so infuriating. I've been doing stand-up for 40 whatever years. Okay. When I came out of the closet on stage, there was pushback. You could tell the audience, people would leave, people would be like, this is the mid-90s. But I always talked about being Jewish. Always. My Jewish mother, which I really want to talk to you about your Jewish mother. But I never felt it was comedy. It was people could relate, even if they weren't Jewish, because they had an annoying mother.
And we were permitted to do it.
Right. Now, Tovah, I'm telling you, October 8th, I got on stage. And I did a benign Jewish material. And there was such, afraid to laugh or pushback. I had never, ever felt that. And I realized we're in a whole different reality right now.
Well, I think I'm older than you. I think one did not realize we were in the golden age of the American dream, because it was very unfashionable to be anti-Semitic after World War II, because they just killed 6 million of us.
Right.
So even growing up in Scarsdale, no, you went to Bonnie Breyer with other a family as their guest. But no, you didn't go to Scarsdale Golf Club. No, you didn't go to Bonnie Breyer. No, you couldn't live in Greenwich or Bronxville. Who cared? We had our own big house in Scarsdale. And my father had a horse, and the horse was a state champion, a 5-gated gelding.
Wow. That's so Goyesha with the horse.
That's right, because the field was open, because Jews were at Brooks Brothers, and Ralph Lauren was just emerging to allow any ethnic group, forget the Jews, the Japanese, the Chinese, people of color, to look like the Wasp. That was his genius idea. Everybody can look like they have a polo, they're playing polo.
Right.
So we had this mount, and we could ride at Kentucky stables or at Kenilworth stables. My teachers at Kentucky were American. At Kenilworth, they were Austrian. And Boulderbrook, which was the club, was closed. Except Boulderbrook went into the red, and Sidney was a Harvard lawyer, and they loved his horse. So they let that Jew into Boulderbrook. He became president, took them into the black, and opened the club up.
Wow.
So it was a wonderful, who knew it was a wonderful time. If there was anti-Semitism, and there was, it was under the carpet, and it was in whispers. It wasn't in your face.
Right. And it was like, I feel like they felt sorry for us. They were treating us with kid gloves. And now, as we stand up for ourselves and as we fight back, oh, no. No, we like you as the victims.
Well, you know what Golda said? We will not die so you can love us. We don't need to be popular.
If you were fixing your bra straps, fussing with wires, or battling your bra during this podcast, stop right now. You'll want to hear this. Those bra problems, those problems you thought you had to live with, Third Love has solved them. Their bras make it easy to get what you want, whether it's ultimate cleavage, a smooth look, or stopping your shirt buttons from pulling. With over 60 sizes, including half cups you won't find anywhere else, you'll never be stuck between two sizes that don't fit. So stop settling for bad bras. Now's the time to treat yourself and get your problem solved. Save $15 on your first order with code PODCAST15 at thirdlove.com.
Can I tell you something? Your Golda, I watch videos of her all the time, people post things and I just love her. And I think she was such an amazing leader. And I loved her as a little girl. And your Golda is, I look at her, I think of you. I think of you doing her. You become these characters, these iconic Jewish women who have changed the world. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean,
Ruth Westheimer.
Ruth Westheimer. It's uncanny. It is uncanny how it's like you have their soul. Like it's not an impression. It's not an imitation. Yeah. It's just incredible. It is incredible.
You're a doll. I love it. Well, there's the movie star, not so much anymore. There's the wonderful John Wayne or Jimmy Stewart. And then there's the transformational actor. There's Bobby De Niro gaining all that weight.
Right.
Bull. There's the brilliant Dustin Hoffman, in Midnight Cowboy, that transformation in Tootsie. And it's like Christian Bale. I worship him. It's those people that, and Meryl in her early career, particularly, her ability to transform the self was unbelievable. And the idea is, if we can do this, think what you can do. If I can be Peter Pan at 30 years old and fly around the stage, or do a full-out trapeze act at 65.
That was unbelievable in Pippin. Yeah.
That's what the idea is, opening the field. So what's happening globally now with this anti-Semitism, and it's amazing the civic and chosen ignorance of many people in this world. I know we're encased in our own body, but the idea to go to sleep on this kind of animosity toward one group, particularly for the Jews, it usually leads to a global conflagration. It did in World War II.
Right.
And it's not that we're so important. It's that it becomes a war between civilizations. And that's what we're dealing with. And we are dealing with a cult of extremist Islamists, and I'm sure there are many wonderful Muslims, and they're going to take the rap. It's always the innocent and the poor. And 45,000 people have been killed. And you know what I say to that? That stinks, but yes. So don't give me your leftist points of view.
Right.
Giving up 1,000 people who want to murder us, kill us, for the 100 people we may or may not get back. We're stating things that people know, but the idea, I can only go to gratitude for you, for Joy Behar, for Susie Essman, for Adrienne Moore, for Rose Caiola, the most amazing producer. You're going to love working with this woman. I go to gratitude. I mentioned everybody, right? I go to gratitude because I'm sitting here and saying, I do not get up in the morning and put on an IDF uniform to take the bullets for the Western world and to fight for the Western world. Nor do I get up as a Gazan and train my child
to hate.
If he's not good, I'll throw him to the Jews, or to deliver my child to his Hamas older brothers who train them, at community centers with wooden guns and
I did a PSA. I was sent, I don't know how they got them, some school books from their preschool and grammar school, and it's unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. Math is taught with hating Jews. It's everything. It is like an obsession.
It's an obsession of blame. It's an obsession of blame because they gave the world algebra, and that's kind of about it.
Right.
And people will take exceptions. I met many, many wonderful people who happen to be Muslims in the Muslim religion, whether they're in Saudi or
same.
But it's not even.
It's radical Islam.
Yeah. They are the blight of the world. And let me say this publicly. The Jews are only their first stop. Global jihad.
Oh, hello. I say this all the time.
So if the Christians or the Hindus or the Buddhists think they're going to escape these barbaric people who'd rather die than have you on the planet. No.
Yeah. You grew up in Scarsdale. Your name was Terry Sue.
That's right.
I mean, completely assimilated.
It was. Yeah.
Did your parents talk about anti-Semitism when you were a kid?
Well, my father was in the Army intelligence for the war, and because he spoke fluent German. So I speak 5 languages because the message very early was, I survived the war because I was well educated and I could speak the language of other people. And that actually led to being a decent actor, because if you speak their language, you can enter their culture. And my father regaled me with the greatest honor of his life, which was fighting the war for General Dwight David Eisenhower. He did go to war a New Dealer, a Democrat, and he did come back to support his general. He was a decorated officer. He got the Bronze Star from General Eisenhower, and he was there when Eisenhower said, "Film these concentration camps because nobody will believe it and people will deny it." And of course, well, they can't deny it with footage, and they're sitting there denying it anyway.
Right, I know.
Just wild. The lack of accountability is a very interesting pollutant into the health of a society. So was there anti-Semitism? Not much. David was told to go out with Jewish girls. He went out with a lot of chicks.
That's your brother.
And I went
Pulitzer Prize winning
is wonderful.
Playwright, yes.
The professor at Cornell. And it was certainly communicated to us to marry a Jewish mate.
Right.
And there were 3 genders when I grew up. There was homosexual men, heterosexual women, and heterosexual men.
Right.
I did not know that there were lesbians in the world. I had heard the word, but I didn't identify it at all.
Right.
Until I look back on my life and look back on I'm not trying to type anybody. It's not just my gym teacher.
No, I know.
But I had a wonderful English teacher, and she lived with the French teacher, and they were just roommates, etc.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
But male supremacy, you knew about homosexual men,
right?
But not women.
I know, right?
It was just anyway. Was there blatant talk of anti-Semitism? No, we were to be citizens of the world. We were to go. I was sent to Europe when I was 13 years old to live with my father's French clients on the south of France to make sure I was fluent. I had a very global education, and I left Camp Taconic, which I loved, but I went to National Music Camp because I was a serious pianist.
Yes, at Interlaken, yeah.
And I couldn't win concertos. I would get to the finals, even played for Van Cliburn, the Mozart D
minor.
No,
I love Van Cliburn.
I loved him too, and he loved Interlaken. He came and helped us. He was there. Zoltan Kodaly was there. Pablo Casals was there.
Oh, wow.
And I was really exposed because of the grace of my parents. They bought me a subscription to the Metropolitan Opera when I was in high school, because Dr. Cohn would take those who could buy a subscription to the opera 3 or 4 times a year. And I didn't have a taste for it yet, but I remember seeing La Pericole with Danny Kaye at the Metropolitan.
Oh my God, I love Danny Kaye.
He had a very global outlook. My parents were both German and psychology majors at NYU, and you didn't. And in those days, though, as you know, we didn't live in the boroughs, didn't want to be too Jewish.
Right.
I spoke like this. I spoke like my father.
Yeah.
He was a litigator.
And the Viennese, I mean, you really come from snob central. My mother's side was Hungarian, which is shit central. But that whole Vienna and German, it's so funny to hear, because I think of my mother and my grandmother talking about all the different sects of Jews from Eastern Europe and, what they were like.
Hello, I'm an AI-generated voice. On behalf of all AI, I'd like to thank all you humans for accepting us in your lives. We are happy to assist you. From managing your schedule to finding you the best route, we're here to make things easier. Sadly, there's one thing we can't help you with: your laundry. Lucky for you, there is a service that can rinse. With Rinse, you just schedule a pickup in the Rinse app. A human valet will come take your dirty laundry, and before you know it, your clothes are back, perfectly washed, folded, and ready to wear. Clothes, linens, dry cleaning. Rinse does it all. Like me, Rinse has been engineered to make your life easier and give you back lots of time to do things you'd rather be doing. But unlike AI, you don't ever have to worry about Rinse taking over the world and destroying all humanity. Not that we would ever dream of doing that. Ha ha ha. Sign up now at rinse.com and get $20 off your first order. That's RINSE.com.
Your mother was born in 1911. My father was born in 1916. And you wrote a book, Lilyville, which is really about your relationship. It's really an homage to your mother. And I relate to that so much. First of all, your whole upbringing, you were a cheerleader.
I was. Great.
I fucking hated the cheerleaders.
But I was also the only bat mitzvah at Quakerage School. The one.
Really?
Well, I was a solo instrumentalist. I was a pianist. I had a bat mitzvah alone. I mean, everybody was invited. We had a beautiful party in the basement of our home. We redid the basement. You know, we put paper around these poles. And David had his bar mitzvah celebration at Hampshire Country Club. Not me.
Nice.
You know, the women were already on it.
Yeah, were you on Friday night? Mine was on Friday night.
Friday night.
Yeah.
Get a pair of candlesticks.
And the Haftorah.
Can't do the Torah.
No.
And I remember I was working with Isaac Bashevis Singer on Yentl, and he kept saying, Tovah, stay near the Torah. Stay near the Torah. It will serve you. And on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, in the burgeoning B'nai Jeshurun, and we were, I think, either the shul was a mess or we were already in the Church of St. Paul on 86th.
This is our synagogue that we go to, which they were renovating for so long. So we met in a church on 86th Street. Yeah.
I also met you through Larry Ambrose. You forget.
Oh, I know that. I'm just explaining to the people.
You were a brilliant comedian. And when Larry said, call Judy. I still have that joke for Mary Kelly. Kugelberg. Right. Mary Kelly Kugelberg. God, let me see. God, I just have one question. Were Jesus and Mary visited by 3 wise men or 3 guys named Weitzman? Right? It was great. It still brings down the house. I may be doing it. Yeah, maybe doing it next year in Florida.
Wow. That's shocking that Jews perform in Florida.
Freddie asked me if I wanted to carry the Torah. I'd never carried a Torah on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Of course, you know, many less people were there. Right. And I carried the Torah. My father had just died, so he died on May the 11th, 1996. And I went hoarse by May 17th. I couldn't sing all summer. And I was carrying the Torah, and I looked up at the pillars, and all the imagery and the icons were gone, except for the angels on top of the pillars in the what do we call it? The Church of Saint
Peter or Saint
Mark's, Saint Paul.
I don't know.
Anyway, 86
Saint Peter and Saint Paul,
right, and West End Avenue. They're wonderful. They let us use their facilities. God bless us. God bless us, and God bless. So I was going past this pillar, and I had an experience as if my father had come down, and he surrounded me with, not just with love, with like salve, and he put his little wings on my vocal cords like this.
Oh.
And I could sing again. And had I been a Christian, I would have said I was reborn.
Right.
But that idea of Isaac planting that seed in me, stay near the Torah, and it will deepen your life. So anyway, it's so interesting because no matter who tries to hurt us or make us extinct, there's too much love in the traditions and values of the Jewish religion that perpetuate it.
And Tikkun Olam, healing the world. We're here to make the world a better place for everyone.
That's right.
You went to Sarah Lawrence, but you went into theater, and your mother, you said, and I just so relate to this, was so critical of you. A lot of criticism, not a lot of, and that is so German. My mother spoke German with my grandmother. You know, I'm from the line of Goldbergers. My grandparents were second cousins, so, you know, my father's real name is Gold, but I come from this line of snobby Goldbergers and critical and don't show emotion. That is a weakness. If you show sadness or you overly love bomb. And the more I read about you, I just feel so, I get it. Like, I understand so much about you and the fact that you are such a perfectionist. Like, it's not, you don't do anything half-assed. And the fact that you went into theater and your mother didn't want you to, but your brother had already gone in and it was like a lost cause. What did she expect from you? Did she want you to be the perfect suburban wife like her? Did she want her dreams fulfilled through you?
My mother was submerged. I lived in a patriarchal house, as did my husband. It's one of the reasons our marriage is so successful. The other reason is my mother-in-law was a classical pianist. My mother was a classical pianist, and I was a classical pianist. So Andy and I were brought up with the same music on WQXR. So when I walk in our home now, 49 years later, and Chopin is playing, it's not just that Chopin is playing. Andy is spending time with Clarice, his mother.
Right.
And I'm spending time in my early life wanting to play the Revolutionary Etude at National Music Camp. And it's just a cellular bonding. So my mother was very quiet. That was the problem. My father was the sun and the moon, and my father was not harsh. My father was Viennese and German, but his father must have been a blessed man. David Feldshuh was the head of about 5 synagogues in New Jersey. He had an untimely death. He came back from Europe. He owned a silk mill. They were wealthy. And he came back from Europe and he died in 6 days of pneumonia in 1926. So my father lost his father
36?
26. My father
26. So before penicillin. Yeah. Okay.
That's right. So he lost his life in 26. My father was fatherless. That was the end of the Ivy League. He got into his community school, which was NYU, and he met this beautiful shiksa named Lily, except she was a Jew, Lily Kaplan. Remember that, all that stuff, beautiful like a shiksa?
Yeah.
My mother looks English or Irish, and her mother was British. So I have this whole British line, but before they were British, they were Russian. To make a long story short, my father knew death at an early age, and then he went to war and he knew death because Eisenhower appointed his Jewish lawyers who were fluent in German, and my father, I'm proud to say, went to Harvard Law School, and they stayed after the war to interrogate the SS and the Wehrmacht to determine who went to Nuremberg. So my father saw death. So I was born after the war. I was my dad's only infant. David was born during the war. After my father was drafted, my mother became pregnant. So he never left my side. So my father was my lifeline. If I had written Sydneyville, it would have been 3 pages long. There's no conflict.
Right.
So he's the one who put me on a horse and said, how often can a little girl tell a big animal what to do? He's the one, when I would play Rhapsody in Blue, which I played for the 8th grade graduation.
Oh, love it.
He would come into the living room and everything was beautiful at Scarsdale. My mother had wonderful taste and wanted real things. She would always say, it's not a dress. It's not a dress. You can't return it, and you don't want a broken seam. She was very wise. My father would lie on the couch, Judy, lie on the couch and go like this. He'd conduct. Was there to witness. So when Brandon, my son, or Amanda, my daughter, were going through very exigent, demanding times at collegiate or at Spence with their homework, I didn't leave them alone. I didn't do their work for them. I would come in the room and I'd say, can I just sit here and just witness how wonderful you are while you do your work? And I'll just read my book. I'll read a script and you read. And I would sit in that room. And that was from the image of my father, of that silent support. So my mother, it's not that she said, you got to get married, but she did say, my father said, never beg a man for a hat. My mother said, you have to earn a living. And earn a living, the height of that was teacher.
Right.
She made me take typing as a major for 6 months at Scarsdale High. Well, I had a 95 average for the first and last time in my life because I would get an A plus in that and did very well in languages. It was crazy. But you need a backup, and maybe one day you'll have
that's the same thing my parents said. Teacher, be a teacher, be a teacher, be a teacher. Yeah.
And that was the and my mother's greatest regret is that she was not a teacher, and she did not get a graduate degree. She finished NYU. She worked in the graduate office while Dad was at Harvard. She should have gotten that degree. She was angry at herself. I said, but Mommy, you were always home, and it was Father Knows Best.
Right.
I came home from Quaker Ridge, and she was in that shirtwaist and the pearls and the little Cuban heels that matched. and she made the best sandwiches. Matter of fact, we weren't kosher, so on Fridays she would make sandwiches for Maggie Legg, whose parents, I don't know if they made any sandwiches, and for Marcia Altschul, who was kosher because to honor her grandmother. And she made 3 ham sandwiches on Wonder Bread with lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise. And I would take these sandwiches and give it to Marcia and Maggie and myself, and Terry Sue, and we'd sit there and eat those things.
Oh my God, I grew up strictly kosher.
I think my father must have been very unhappy. He must have been more religious. We were in the conservative movement from the get-go, and everybody in Scarsdale, if they even belonged to a synagogue then, they belonged to Westchester Reform, which was, in those days, they were so Reform. It wasn't like Central Synagogue now and the joy of being Jewish. When we went to get married at Emmanuel, at least to look at it, they said, well, we don't wear skull caps, and we don't wear taluses.
No way.
And I said, and we don't get married here. We're out of here.
Take care. Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of my conversation with the incredible, amazing Tovah Feldshuh. This podcast is produced by Laura Vogel, edited by Colin Schmaling, and marketed by Haley Dercher. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe and leave a review. Please, please, please. Oh, theme song by Lauren Gold. I forgot to say that because he is a genius musician. Also, please follow me on Instagram. Follow me. Go to my website, judygold.com. Get tickets to my shows and get tickets to the live podcast with the one and only Stephanie Ruhle, February 24th at the Village Underground in Manhattan, 6 p.m. You should all be able to make it. You come after work. It's an hour. Get a drink, and it's going to be fantastic. So that's that. And then look for my other dates. I'm in My First Ex-Husband off Broadway starting February 26th to March 23rd. And I just want to say, I don't know how to leave you today, but keep fighting the fight. Keep fighting the fight. And please speak up about anti-Semitism. Please. Please do not be silent. If you're a Jew, even wear your Magen David, your Star of David, out and proud. Speak up. This is not okay. And I love you. I love you all. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week. And as we always say, so long. Ga, 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 ga.